Hey guys, Kyle the Dead Knight me here, bringing you my review for One Piece episode 840. I am so sorry this review is so late, guys. It was one of those nights. I was entertaining a friend. We were actually watching old episodes. We were actually watching episodes of One Piece. It's kind of become our little routine to do over the weekend. Whenever I invite him over, but yeah. Then after that, it was just kind of like I was just saying blah, and I was also sorting through some, and I was also sorting through some stuff on like I'm moving all my stuff over from my anime list to any list now because my anime list is basically shot. So I'm thinking of just of of disabling my anime list account. But anyway, guys, with that said, let's finally get to the review. And to start off with, I gotta be honest, the pacing in this episode for me could have been better because it wasn't necessarily bad, but it's like the first half of this episode I felt was focusing a little too much on just seeing Big Mom just kind of punch the damn is just seeing Big Mom pretty much punch Beige's like castle constructors like yeah it's which and it's honestly kind of weird. And it's honestly one of those pacing things where it's honestly a little weird because because this episode adapted a chapter and a half's worth of content. So, but at least, but yeah, at least for a good half of the episode it was really only focused on Big Mom punching Beige's castle form. Although we did get some pretty, although I will admit, as slow as the first half was, we did actually get some pretty cool tidbits out of those moments. Like one scene that really got to me was that scene of Big Mom's eye looking through the window. Like that shit was legitimately creepy. Like Big Mom, never get that close ever again. I will I almost I was legitimately kind of creeped out by that scene. Like Big Mom, you're getting a little too close. Back off, please, bitch. Um, and one thing I absolutely loved about this episode is how Luffy was all ready to fight Big Mom. Then Nami stopped him with honestly a legitimate argument, which is that the Straw Hats have achieved all their goals that they need to accomplish here on Whole Cake Island. So what's the point of sticking around, especially when the others are still waiting back on Zoe? Like Luffy is basically like Luffy is taking his words of basically defeating all of the four emperors a little too serious, a little too literally because with the way Luffy was acting in this episode, he was legitimately trying to start a war with both Big Mom, which I guess in a way he kind of already has, but he was legitimately trying to aggravate the situation even more than it needed to, and like yeah, Luffy at this point. I would just get the fuck out of Dodge. To be honest with you, like you've already got Sanji back. You've already got Poneglyph. Like seriously, stop trying to shake the beast. Let others kind of cover your escape from this point on. And I mean, and again, it's kind of one of those things where, but of course, like we've all seen the intro, so we know that in the end, Luffy's usual end to fight arc is still inevitably going to happen. But even then, but even then, it's gonna. But even then, we basically know that the fight it isn't going to be with Big Mom. It's going to be with Katakuri. So we basically know that something is going to happen in the next episode where Luffy is finally going to see just how powerful a Yonko truly is. Because we see Luffy that he's actually using he's using his bound man form against Big Mom in the next episode in the preview of next episode, and but I think something is gonna happen there where he's inevitably gonna he's not even gonna be able to lay a scratch on Big Mom and he's gonna end up in a fight with Katakuri or something like that. But it's like but yeah, overall, I just really like how Nami's basically words and warning to Luffy were like, yeah, Luffy, you don't have anything more you can do here. You can just you can walk away now, like It's let I understand you want to defeat Big Mom like you promised her, but let things play out a little more, okay? Let things but let thing let's kind of wait for another time to defeat Big Mom, especially since you already got Kaido down your back. And like I said, I really like how this also plays into the fact that Luffy is just kind of too is really just too eager to in order to take on all these threats at one point. Like let's deal with them one at a time. So and I like how that plays into that too. Um, and another big thing that happens in this episode is that we get the final resolution between Sanji and his family, especially his father in this episode. And I like how it was handled because it was showed in such a way where Sanji didn't really even forgive them. He was just doing everything Sanji was doing in order to save the Vinsmokes, his blood family. He was all doing it because he didn't he was doing it because he didn't care for them, well, except for maybe Reiju. Like he wasn't doing it because he cared for them. He was doing it just because it was the right thing to do, and that's how basically Zeph, who he considers to be his real father, taught him, which in its own way plays heavily into one of the main themes of One Piece. That pretty much one scene was pretty much like a great example of one of One Piece's biggest core themes, which is blood relation doesn't blood relation is worth jack squat. It isn't what defines who your family is, and it doesn't define who your family is. It's basically the people who actually care about you and love you that can pretty much that are the ones you can consider to be your actual family. And the Straw Hats were, and in Sanji's case, his real family are Zeph and the Straw Hats. So, and I love how, and I really love how things came full circle with Sanji just returning the words Judge said to him 13 years ago, but by pretty much him saying, I never want to see you, Judge Vinsmoke, ever again. Like that was those like aside from the person being addressed, that was pretty much the exact same. Those were the exact same words that Judge said to Sanji 13 all those years ago, and now Sanji's returning it back to him. It's kind of cool how things have come full circle like that. And now he's finally gained the courage to stand up to his family, which honest and yeah, and now when I was watching this episode, I saw like a comment. I saw a comment. I saw a comment in the comment section of Crunchyroll that said that was basically assuming that the Vinsmokes are gonna die. And honestly, as much as that would make sense, considering who they're up against, I don't think it's going to happen because if there's one thing I've learned about One Piece is that the series only kills characters if it serves a purpose to develop the main cast. And considering how Sanji basically just buried the hatchet here between his family now, it would and how there's very little love between him and his blood family to begin with. Their deaths, it wouldn't really even amount to anything or really serve any purpose in order for Sanji's development. Like his development peaked with the Vinsmokes when he basically told them in order to fuck off and that he doesn't want to see them again. So killing them, it wouldn't really serve that much of a purpose. So yeah, as much as I'm sure there were people who would like the Vinsmokes to die and people who are worried the Vinsmokes are gonna die, yeah, I don't think the Vinsmokes are gonna die here. And I just gotta say, poor fucking Caesar at this point. Like, it's funny, like the dude himself at this point has become little more than comic relief, but at the same time, it's like, I feel so bad for this guy. He's basically become everyone's bottom bitch, especially fucking especially fucking especially fucking especially fucking Beige's now, since he pretty much has his heart. It's like, yo, like Caesar, just come out, catch a break. He just keeps getting his, he keeps getting served and becoming a slave from one person to the next, and he can just never be free. It's basically his whole role in the series at this point. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.